Hey, thanks for watching my video. If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. Every bit of support is greatly appreciated. Now let's get to the video. What up, I'm Xander. ImageMovers, I didn't have an intro. Okay, wait, ImageMovers is hated? Okay, hated is tough, but I learned more and more that people don't really care for the digital department of Robert Zemeckis' company, ImageMovers. I've done these studio retrospectives based on studios that sadly no longer make movies, but this is a weird case because ImageMovers does make movies, but they usually just do the regular Zemeckis productions. Checking real quick, yeah, that was a mistake. A big thing with ImageMovers was their use of motion capture, and in some cases this worked, others... Ew. Honestly, I don't really know how to feel about this division. On one hand, I like almost all their films. They made 5 mocap films, and I say 3 of them were pretty okay. One of them is kind of 50-50, and one of them is Marwen Needs Moms. Hell, on a live stream when I was making this video's thumbnail, I admitted I didn't really know if I wanted to put my happy avatar or my sad avatar in the middle, because if I had to be honest, I don't know how to summarize my feelings about ImageMovers. Well, their good stuff was really good, their bad stuff... Marwen Needs Moms. So yeah, tough sell. But I went with A Beautiful Tragedy. What happened to this division definitely sucks, but when it got good, it was great. So let's take a look at all 5 ImageMovers films. One hell of a debut film, we got The Polar Express from 2004. I've talked about this film to death and such, I'm gonna keep my thoughts short, especially since I haven't talked about the other films here. The Polar Express is a total banger of a Christmas classic. It's arguable for the time I was growing up, this was the Christmas movie. Just when you were about to go on winter break and the teacher rolls out a TV and puts on Polar Express, oh my god, the memories. It didn't matter if the movie was freaky as fuck. It was a total nostalgia trip had I ever seen one. Of course, if you haven't heard the story, it follows a boy who boards the Polar Express, a train that goes to the North Pole. Of course, there's a conductor, played by Tom Hanks, who is, by the way, the biggest carry for this film. He befriends a few of the other kids going to the North Pole, including that kid who said, "I am a fucking menace on the basketball court."
That was the move that made LeBron cry.
Tell me that's not who this kid grew up to be. This movie has a very subtle message about how Christmas isn't about the gifts or presents or any of that, it's about the thought behind the gift. Very cleverly shown with this bell that our lead protagonist gets. As I said, Tom Hanks as a conductor is genuinely one of my favorite roles from him. Actually, it's worth noting Tom Hanks provided a lot of the motion capture for this film. You see, there's a right way and a wrong way to adapt picture books. Something like Jumanji or Zathura were probably the wrong ways. This is definitely the right way though, but I do feel like the third act doesn't really work that well. It feels like they just pushed a bunch of things in and tried to expand the story. I don't know, it felt a little drawn out. As I said, I talked about it before and I absolutely adore it. It's a true staple of Christmas in the 2000s. In 2006, ImageMovers released their second film, Monster House. While it's not as good as The Polar Express, it's really a cool idea. Following a bunch of kids who find out that this creepy old house might actually be alive. It belonging to a cracky old man, played by Steve Buscemi.
Do you want to be eaten alive?
Actually, I don't know why I said played by, that's just Steve Buscemi, but still. A bunch of coincidences and even a run-in with the police, who's voiced by Kevin James and Nick Cannon.
We'll aim for Bigfoot. That's loaded.
They learn more and more about not only the house, but the people who owned it, including the backstory of that crackhead we talked about earlier. I will say, while the film isn't as emotional as The Polar Express, I would say it surpasses The Polar Express with its humor. The funniest character on The Polar Express would have been the conductor, but there's like 5 conductors and they're all really funny. The main character doesn't get the most laughs. His best friend, who I swear was inspiration for Rowley from Diary of a Wimpy Kid, has a lot of great laughs, and it's usually the fact that he delivers one of the funniest innuendos in any kid's film.
Then that must be the uvula. So it's a girl house.
The police get a lot of laughs as well. As I said, Kevin James is one of my favorite Sandler members, and he easily gets one of the funniest deliveries in this film. Nick Cannon is funny enough, but I think James really overshadows him. I like to think this is just what Steve Buscemi does when some kids try to prank him. Actually, Buscemi gets some of the best emotional stuff here, and he does it very well. Jason Lee voices the babysitter's boyfriend, and he gets some pretty good laughs. This is all cool and all, but I think my biggest issue is that the main character really isn't that interesting. He's kind of a blank slate, and especially in a world like this, you need to stand out a lot more. Also, I'm gonna say it, this house is one of the best designs in any of these movies. From the fact that it looks like a face, to the way it moves, there's just so many details that went into this specific piece, and I really love it. I can complain all I want about the main character, but all the other characters get so many laughs. Even fucking Napoleon Dynamite, who's in it for one scene, one of these random cameos, and he's really funny.
I won't be seeing you later.
I swear, I think this was the film to prove that ImageMovers could do more humor-based stories, but I do like that they get the emotional stuff in at the end, and as I said, Buscemi works really good with it. I still prefer Polar Express, but to say the least, Monster House is one of the funniest Halloween specials for me. Okay, so now we got Beowulf. And I guess I can't really complain because this was to show that ImageMovers could do more adult stories. It's alright, it's not as bad as what we'll get to in a bit, but if I had to say, this is probably my second least favorite in the catalog. It's the story of Beowulf, who goes to fight the monster Grendel, and then his mother, who kills out of revenge. See, with a medieval plot, sadly you have to stand out way more, and I don't think that's what Beowulf does. While I do appreciate that this is PG-13 when the last two are PG, they don't really go far enough with it. It's just boring. It's really 2 hours of the same medieval stuff I've seen a million times. Look, I just played Oblivion for the first time. That shit came out a year after Beowulf, and somehow it's way more interesting. It's tough, man. I want to like this one. I think this is a really good story for them to tackle, but it just wasn't there. Sad but true, I didn't care for this one. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm doing a Jim Carrey ranking next month, so it makes sense to start with A Christmas Carol. Now, I've mentioned before that A Christmas Carol is really hard to pull off. Or at least hard to pull off and be unique. There's a lot of Christmas Carol adaptations out there, and sometimes they just follow the story verbatim. However, there are some unique takes. Spirited isn't a great adaptation, but it was pretty good. The Muppets Christmas Carol was damn good. And while I can't say the 2009 Christmas Carol is the worst thing around, it's got a few problems. I do think this is the one I'm most problematic with because I like things and I hate things in this. We'll start with the negativity and get it out of the way. I'm not a fan of Scrooge's look in this. I like that he looks gross, like a grimy old man, but you can tell the design was to look like Jim Carrey first, and I don't think it really worked. Also, it takes a while to get to the good stuff. Like, the first half of this movie is really boring to get through. And I think this is the film that I realized, oh shit, they're motion capture. I think Tintin was probably the best way you could do motion capture and make it look natural in a world. Stuff like this and Food Fight are the wrong ways to do motion capture, let's just say that.
I just got a discount from Just a Holiday.
Also, it's worth noting this film bombed notoriously. And next to the last film that ImageMovers made, these two films tanked the company. A Christmas Carol, as I just said, is a really tough story to make fun and unique. And sadly, this is one of those cases where they just follow the story verbatim, and it really doesn't go with a unique route. However, I will start with the good stuff because there are some good things. The designs of each ghost are really, really good. If anything, some of them are straight up uncanny. There's a really good scene when Scrooge is forced to look at the heartbreak on his partner's face. He can't go anywhere, and his partner doesn't even realize he's there. It's truly amazing, and kind of like the Nevercracker scene from Monster House, it's one of the most emotional moments in any ImageMover film. Also, goddammit, it's really creepy. You know, Polar Express is unintentionally creepy, but I feel like this one was written as a horror movie. Like a horror movie adaptation of Christmas Carol first, and then they actually tried to write it as Christmas Carol. Hold on, I'm gonna check, and yeah, of course it exists. But sadly, I do have to say, I think this one's more bad than anything, which sucks. I think there really are good things in this. And I'd probably say if you get to the second half, there are some great stuff. It's not as boring as Beowulf, but considering the first two ImageMovers films, I'm not impressed. Oh man, this film! Yeah, sometimes your last words just can't be good ones. Marwen's Mom is one of those horrible cases where it didn't matter how bad the other films ImageMovers made, this was horrid. The film follows a kid named Milo, who gets into a fight with his mom, who is, by the way, only named Mom. She doesn't have a real name in this, okay. Of course, when he finds out his mom was abducted by aliens and is going to be blown up by them unless he saves her, then why the fuck do they need her? You know what, I'm getting ahead of myself. He comes across the captain from WALL-E, I don't know, and teams up with him and the graffiti artist alien to save the moms. Despite the fact that Mars needs moms. Dude, this title makes no sense! Okay, yeah, let's talk about this little tidbit. This movie is way too mean. Milo is a brat. He lashed out at his mom for no good reason, and he doesn't talk like a normal kid at all. The alien chick they came across is ugly to look at and isn't really that memorable. And to be fair, neither is the mom. For being the center point of the story, she sure is one of the most forgettable things in this film, right next to the setting. Damn it, I was really looking forward to how these films could do settings, and it just looks ugly. The idea of a repressive, colorless world is nothing new, and this film doesn't add anything to it. The only character I consistently got laughs out of was Dan Fogel as the fat dude. Not only does he have a kind of interesting backstory, but Fogel is a very underrated performer. But at the end of the day, it's so mean and so boring. And you want to know my worst thing about this? Seth Green provides the motion capture for Milo. But they couldn't have gotten him on the writing team. Okay, Robot Chicken, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. It's just boring. And it truly shows that this film tanked ImageMovers Digital and made sure no other mocap films came from them. Of course, ImageMovers still exists and makes movies, that's for sure. But this is a weird take, I'm sure. I feel like these movies came out at the right time. If these films released today, I don't think they would have stuck. Especially Polar Express and Monster House releasing when they needed to. Even the ones I didn't care for, like Beowulf, Christmas Carol, or Mars Needs Moms, I think they gave something you could never get from another studio. ImageMovers might still be around, but this division is one I hope we can all look back on with a good heart. For the most part. This is unprecedented, I have a clone now. I always wanted one, that's really cool. What? Oh, you want to play Mario Party? Yeah, we can play Mario Party. Shit, yeah, you got the controller on that side? Okay, good stuff, good stuff.